Hey, everybody. Welcome to another film as part of Livable Planet. We're really excited that you've just had a chance to see The Conscience of Clothing, and we're lucky enough to have the director, Patrick Cole, with us. Thank you for joining us, Patrick.
Hi there. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thanks for the patience amidst all this Zoom craziness. Um, what made you decide to kind of take this journey to make this film?
Okay, thank you. Now I have it. Um, yeah, basically, my personal journey started 5 years ago when I started to dive more into cultural documentaries, and I personally think that we have to have more and more environmentally topics in film. And also, my personal signature in film is not to produce more documentaries about um, how bad things are out there and make people, I don't know, feel in a way that they are playing a role in this in a bad way, but also to inspire and reach out and I don't know, trying to take them by the hand and show them also the good sides. So my idea of making film is in the end showing them what is going wrong, but also what are takes and what are perspectives on the way out, what is already going right. So rather to say how stupid everybody is and what is everything or what everybody is doing wrong, I think we can show the positive sides and the good perspectives and maybe inspire people to do something better.
Yeah, I think that idea of kind of closing the gap of kind of cynicism and kind of embracing hope is always a helpful thing. I mean, we all love films that can leave us hopeful in the end.
Absolutely. And there's so many films out there already that give us a feeling that, I don't know, we are all doomed and this is all going into a crazy kind of dystopia. But I think that there are positive signs out there and there are a lot of people who are doing good stuff. And we just have to do it on a bigger scale and there is hope.
And so, what made you just? So sometimes people don't necessarily, when they think of the environment, they don't necessarily think of fashion, right? Or textile making. What made you decide
Absolutely.
that like fashion was like a good place to kind of explore? I mean, obviously we all wear clothes and we care about how we look, but what kind of inspired you to kind of tell that part of the story?
The one thing is that I think most people are not aware that fashion industry is one of the biggest polluters in the world. So when you combine the CO2 footprint and everything that's when it comes to pollution in the oceans, sickness to people, working hours, not paying living wages, it's a lot. And we are always looking at, I don't know, especially in Germany, for example, we're looking at the car industry and the obvious ones, the energy industry. They are also playing their role, but the fashion industry is playing a huge role. And the other take on the film was the Instagram bubble or everybody that's on social media right now. And there are a lot of people following the role models, which are basically young people who are influencing other people out there. And these people are getting bought by brands and they are more or less like the new role models out there, and if they advertise the way that it's okay to buy fast fashion all the time and to always be up to date with the newest clothes and to buy and to buy and to consume, I think personally that is the wrong way of doing it. So my idea was combining those things, so make a film about fashion and put influencers in it and let them reflect on their role in the system.
So when you first started kind of traveling around like Cambodia and things, how did people react? I mean, were they concerned that you were wanting to do like an expose? I mean, how did you get people to kind of open up and share their stories?
To be honest, the first idea was to go to India, and we were already packed and ready to go. And we talked to the Indian embassy in Germany, and they said, "Yeah, we'll figure it out." And in the end, the Indian government declined our visa, so we were even not even allowed to go in, not as tourists, not as business visa, not as filmmakers. So we had to wrap everything up and say, "Okay, what are we going to do now?" And then we decided to go to Cambodia. And then I did two more research trips. I met with all the stakeholders in the country, and we were really transparent about everything. So we basically told everybody, like, "Hey, these are our cards. You can come, you can look into it, you can ask me everything. You can even come to the shooting if you want to. You can come and see how we tape and how what are we asking, what it is about. So we met with smaller labels. We tried to hook up with the industry stakeholders. We talked to a lot of NGOs. We talked to the ILO, which is kind of like the UN for the United Nations for fashion industry or for labor. And everybody was really open, and we were lucky because in the end, everybody was quite supportive. And although we could not film everything in terms of like the big factories were close to us, we were not allowed to film in the huge factories, for example, where probably something is going on, but we don't know. But so we try to have a take and a perspective of the people that work in these factories and talk to them. If we cannot go inside, let other people tell their stories who work in these factories or work in these factories. And this was our take on it. But nonetheless, everybody in the country was, compared to India, where all the alarm bells were ringing, and they said we're not allowed to come to the country. In Cambodia, everybody was really, really hospitable to us.
And so, as you kind of made your way and met all these people, what was the kind of biggest surprise that you had during the making of the film?
And for me, it was interesting in the making of the film because I could live through the situations for a second time. Because when I went there for research, I met obviously a lot of people who, for me, with my European or Western civilizated perspective, in my eyes, were poor and also from what I knew before, because I haven't seen it before. I thought like everything is under bad conditions and people are, I don't know, every day under hard labor, and they don't have any fun or joy at life anymore, which was completely different what I found out during research. And then when I went there for filming and we put our two protagonists into the film and let them live through this situation again, it was for me super interesting because they had the same emotions, or they had a different take on these emotions, but they lived through the same emotions again, and I could obviously focus on the quality of the film. But doing research, I have to say there were certain moments where you had goosebumps and where you wanted to cry. When it comes to filming, then you see it through the lens and you focus on getting a good job done so you can transport the story and you make it visible out there. So that was more or less the most interesting for me, to see that our protagonists actually are touched. And I think every human who sees that and who makes this personal experience is touched by these stories.
So we had a little bit of a Zoom hiccup. Can you hear me again?
Yes, I can hear you.
So maybe as we kind of begin to wrap up, so after people see this film, what's kind of the takeaway you as a filmmaker you would want people to kind of remember when they're making their fashion purchasing decisions and also just living life,
I think personally, I have to say I'm really not that person that tells people what to do. So I think it's still a choice that everybody has, but exactly this choice, you can make it on your own. And basically you decide with every piece you buy, or even not buying, or buying conscious, or being aware of certain things, has an impact. And I think that is one takeaway for an audience that is maybe not so aware to this topic of fast fashion and what comes with it. For me, also interesting is if there is a possibility to change, for example, the Instagram or the social media community in a way that people are there more aware of being, I don't know, following their role models, of the role models being better role models, or being more aware or conscious of things. So I think this all as a package is pretty cool, and we're not done yet. So this whole thing is concepted as a trilogy. We are right now in talks with major networks, so we can maybe even put it or develop it as a series. So Cambodia, I think, was just a start. We can have a couple of more of those.
Very nice. Well, I think, I love how immersive the film was. And in the end, I think it kind of pulls back a curtain on things that many of us just aren't aware of. And so at least as we make our choices, they can kind of be, we can be better informed in some ways. If we want to continue to follow your kind of journey as a filmmaker, what's the best way to do that? Is it like your Instagram account or Facebook? What's the best way to kind of, if we want to know more and kind of can see the next thing that you do?
Oh, I mean, hopefully, we're right now developing another film about circularity, and hopefully this journey continues. So watch out for The Conscience of Clothing, that hopefully is on another major network, or also all the streaming services soon. For me personally, yes, I am on Instagram, but I even have a private account. I don't even want to share it. So no, that's fine. You will hear from me, and I think also from our group as soon as possible.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for making a great film, Patrick, and sharing it with us at Livable Planet. And we'll look forward to kind of continuing to document these stories.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor.
Have a great evening.
You too. It's my pleasure. Thank you very much. Having